Hi, and welcome to At Home Art Lessons with the Art Groupies, developing great art habits. We're going to be working with this groupie, Wanda. Wanda understands the art world, and she realizes that art is more than just creating. You make connections with other cultures to find personal meaning and inspiration. We're going to take a field trip with Wanda with this guy. His name is John Banovich. He is an American artist from the state of Montana. He was inspired by the Jungle Book and his father, who has a love for the outdoors. He creates beautiful paintings, yes, paintings of wild animals. I thought this was a photograph. I was wrong. He gets this impressive detail by spending a lot of time out in the fields with the wild animals, and he creates these beautiful dramatic portrayals of the wildlife. So we're going to create a tiger today. Now this is an actual photograph, and we're going to create his form by using lines and shapes. We're going to start with a simple line, and we're going to have our tiger standing up. So our simple line is going to be that of the letter U. We're then going to create upside down U's for his ears, and then a line to connect. We're then going to create the line for his back, and then our line is going to come down like the letter C to create his hind legs, his paw, and then a line for his belly. Then we're going to come down here and create his front leg and paw. Going to continue up for his chest, and then come down again with a straight line, almost like the letter L, to create the front paw on the one side, now the back paw on the other. We're going to use our pen to create a nice wiggly line, and then follow the leader for our tiger's tail. We're now going to paint in our tiger, and we're going to use some tempera paint. We're not going to use a paintbrush, but we're going to use, if you have a foam craft brush, or you can create your own. You can use some Q-tips, tie it on with a hairband, and use a vegetable skewer. You can also cut a piece of dishcloth, wrap it around a fork, again with a hair tie, to create a cool texture. If you would like to make your own sponge, you can cut a sponge and then clip it on with a clothesline clip. So you can create any kind of sponge you would like. We're going to use this to create the texture or the fur of our tiger. I'm going to double load, so that means I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to put it in one color and put it in another color. It gets a more dramatic and natural look for our tiger. I'm going to do the top part of our tiger with that beautiful orange, and then the underside with some white. So tigers are a beautiful wild animal that is endangered. And what's fascinating about John Banovich is that, like I said, with our art groupie Wanda, he does more than just create art. He actually is a conservationist, and he uses the money for his paintings to help the animals and make sure that they have a habitat that isn't endangered. So he uses that money to protect where these animals live. So he's more than just an artist. going to go around and get that tail. Not to worry if you go out of the lines. Still makes for a beautiful textured tiger. For his face, we're just going to come down into the center, do around his ears and the outside of his face, because he's got some white in there around his eyes and the inside of his ears. So we're going to try to make our tiger look realistic. So now I'm going to pull some of that white and do his belly. Don't want to change my brush and get a new one. I want that color to be on there. The inside of the leg, both the front and the back on the other side, it's white. Do his paws. Around his snout is some, or his jowls. Around his eyes and then inside of his ears are some white. So now I'm going to add the texture of those stripes. And I'm also going to use the black to create more of the detail of his features. So this is going to be kind of fun. You don't have to worry about the paint being on the brush perfectly, because you kind of like that texture that it gives, and you can just have fun making some beautiful stripes for your tiger. As soon as those stripes go on, your animal is easily recognizable. Tigers have some stripes on their legs, on the outside part, so you don't want to put any on the belly or any on the inside of those legs. His tail even has some beautiful stripes. And for the face, you can draw that letter or that shape of a triangle, an upside down triangle. For his nose, come around with two very simple shapes, two simple lines for his jowls. You can put some polka dots for his whiskers. Draw some lines out for the whiskers. We can just put the paintbrush down and make two nice dots for his eyes. Tiger's got some stripes up here in his forehead and around the edges. Not really too much on the face. So voila, my tiger. Now I can also use some more of those different tools that I made to create maybe some texture and some fun things on the background. So I'm dipping my tools in some of the blue and some white. Just going to go around my tiger to create a nice fun background for him. We want him to be the focal point of our picture, so we don't need to add too much detail for our background. So that was the texture that you get from the Q-tips, the texture that you would get from the fork is a little different. So it's fun to play and to see what kind of texture you can create. Maybe you have a different tool that you can find from around the house and create a cool texture with your tiger. And last, let's try that homemade sponge that we used with a clothesline clip. So John Banovich, a famous wildlife artist who goes out into the field and really studies his animals. Sometimes he gets a little too close and has some really interesting encounters, which I think would be incredible. He uses the money that he makes from his artwork to help and support the animals and promote habitat protection. So, John Banovich, wildlife artist and conservationist. I hope you had fun creating your tiger with texture. Thanks for joining me.